Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this week's Productive Agent Podcast. My name is Tony Ruiz. I'm the founder and host of the Productive Agent Podcast and Facebook group. And of course, today I'm joined by this guy. You've seen him before, Mr. Shane Tokheim. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you, man? High energy.
High energy. Let's keep it going. All right. So I was going to do this episode kind of by myself, and then we were grabbing a burger at our favorite place, Longhorn Cafe. Any other good places that you like to grab a burger?
If I had my second choice, I guess Chester's would probably be it.
Yeah, I like Chester's fries better.
I like Chester's onion rings better.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Longhorn is a good place.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, come on by, let's knock this podcast out. So so this podcast is, the episode is going to be entitled Podcast Update and LOLA. I'll explain what LOLA is here in a second.
I had a dog named Lola.
Really?
No.
That's what it's about. This whole episode is about your dog that you didn't have. But this episode is for all listeners, consumers, and agents. I want to talk a little bit about mixing it up a little bit with the podcast and kind of adapting going forward. We've talked about how I started this podcast really agent-focused, helping agents grow the business. I've been in business for 4 years. I've been a capper all 4 years, making a pretty decent living. I've kind of figured some things out. Of course, I bring on more experienced agents to share their stories and inspire people. But then I was also using this platform to help consumers and clients and helping to buy and sell and all those things. And then I was like, you know what? I'm loving it so much. I'm going to do Monday motivations. So I was up to like 2 podcasts a week. And then my business got busy. I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. All right. So I was like, okay, I got to figure a balance here because I'm kind of a one-man show here. All right. Obviously, you come in quite a bit and help out. But going forward, I'm going to move those Monday motivations to just a simple video message on social media. So if you don't follow us on social media, I highly encourage you. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. So go find us there to hear the Monday motivations. Maybe sometimes I'll share stuff that Shane sends. He sends a lot of stuff to agents via text message or stuff that just comes to mind I want to share. So moving forward, we're going to stay consistent with our Wednesday podcast, whether it's Shane and I, myself, interview, and different things. So sound good to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Danny Charbel said he'd be happy to come on here and talk with you.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Number one agent in the city, not non-luxury.
He crushes it. Yeah. So that'd be a lot of fun to pick his brain. So I did want to mention that this is kind of consumer-based, the back half of this, but other episodes that we've recorded that are consumer-based are episode number 44, which is the home selling process, if you're interested in that. Episode number 38 is the home buying process. So maybe you've been in a rental, you're looking to buy your first home, go take a listen to that. And episode 32 is an interview with a loan officer in Eddie Hernandez, who you introduced me to.
That's right.
And it's a peek into the mortgage world, and it talks about, getting qualified and the process of doing that. Some things that are coming up next week, I'm going to Beezer Homes. It's going to be my first interview with a new build. He reached out to me. His name, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he reached out to me. So I'm going to go out there, take a look at the model, talk to a little bit about their inventory. And I'm hoping to do that with more new builds.
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
Towards the consumers. I lined up an inspector to come talk about what to expect when you get an inspection report. So different things like that. We'll get some home warranty stuff on there, trying to mix it up between agent and consumer and having a balance. So pretty excited about that stuff. But, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I got busy in June and July, and that's why some of these episodes, I didn't follow through every single week with. But obviously, I'm a full-time agent, if you didn't know that, right? That's my bread and butter there. So that's my number one priority. And of course, I love doing this podcast. I'm committed to growing this as well. But business picked up. I took a little vacation, and I truly believe it was a direct reflection of our accountability group. So I'm sure you've heard those kind of stories from agents and how that's impacted their business.
Yeah. It's not, you think like, oh, that's a coincidence. No, it's not. It's a direct, we come into the group with goals, and then we come back to the group with our results. Yeah. And, you don't want to be embarrassed in front of everybody. So you've got to go out and do something so you can come back and talk about it. So, activity, that's it. I don't set your goals. You set them for yourself. And, kind of. I mean, I push people to set high goals.
Yeah.
But if you go out and do what you say you're going to, even if you go out and do half of what you say you're going to do, your business is going to increase. That's just, there's no way around it unless you're awful. Even if you're awful, you're probably still going to get more business than you had.
Yeah. If you're taking more action,
taking action. That's
even
the
if
key.
you're failing at it, and of course the goal is to fill out that greatness tracker. Right. But it's really difficult to do, but that's a great goal to have, right? And you're going after that. And some days you fill it all out and you're like, man, that was awesome. But even if you did half of it, you're going to see activity pick up, and then
even if you start the week doing half, the next week you might do 3/4, and the next week you might get it all done. I mean, it's just, you get the ball rolling, know, and then, but agents like you that don't have a staff or a team, or you're just a solo agent, it's hard. Then it gets hard, like you're saying. So then the busier you get, the more structured, even more structured you've got to be, because now, like, I always got to be lead generating, but now I've got contracts to overlook. Right. And so then how do you manage that time? Well, you've got to manage it. You know, those contract things you can do really anytime. Mm-hmm. You could do it early in the morning. I was going to say late at night, but I don't prefer that. Early in the morning. And then when your lead generation time, because that's a certain time that people, you don't want to call somebody at 4 a.m, right? So you got to call them at 9 a.m. when they're awake. So you got to structure your day so you can handle all of that.
Yeah, I want to
hire and leverage.
For sure. I want to talk briefly on that, because this morning, I had a great start to my morning, and then I got distracted by something, and then I was just kind of like, but I took 10 minutes, maybe less, and I went into my calendar and said, okay, at 8:30, I'm going to do my social media post. At 9 o'clock, I'm going to do, podcast preparation. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to do this. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to take lunch. All right. And then you just start structuring your day, like you said. And then you have a very clear plan of what you're doing. Right. You're like, oh, it's time to do that. Yeah. And you don't have to think about it.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times we don't put that. We have this wide open schedule. And before you know it, you're not doing anything, and the whole day went by.
Yep.
It's like you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So put it in the calendar.
Put it in there.
And then just do it.
I always relate it to going to the gym and working out. If you go to the gym and you have no clue what you're going to do, you're going to waste a lot of time. But if you write down, like, I'm going to do 10 sets of bench, 10 sets of this, 10 sets of that, 3 sets of 10, whatever. If you have it written down, you're not going to waste time thinking. And that's the key. If you have your day written down, you're not going to waste time thinking, or think to yourself, well, I really don't have anything to do. Then you don't, because you didn't write it down.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about an experience I had yesterday with LOLA. LOLA stands for Loss of Life Advocates. All right. And so my pastor reached out to me about 2 months ago, and he asked me to come speak at this event that was held yesterday. And he was talking about, loss of life. There's a lot of people that are unprepared for that. All right. They have no communication. And then all of a sudden, boom, the father of the family passes, suddenly. And like, how do we pay bills? How do we do this? Where's this at? All these things. And they are an advocacy that's trying to help organize people's lives and help prepare for when tragedy happens. Mm-hmm. All right. But, so he was asking me about a lot of things that I didn't really know about, or that I didn't have much experience with, but I said, yes, I'm going to do it because I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's really important when you see these opportunities come up in your business, in your life, whatever it is, it's a good opportunity, even though in the moment you're going, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But just say yes and figure it out. Can you talk about anything like you've experienced?
For sure, that happens to me all the time. I mean, I might appear like I know stuff, but I do know stuff. I try to kid that I don't know. But, I know early in my career, I had opportunities to speak, and I would always turn them down because I didn't know what to say. I had never spoken before. And I can remember speaking and not being good. And that's terrible. It's such a bad feeling. Yeah. Embarrassing. You can't sleep the night before or then the night after if it was bad. Yeah. But you know what? You get a little bit better. I'll never forget this time I was speaking at a second largest brokerage in the city. And it was an awards banquet. So there was probably 300 to maybe 5. I don't know. There was a lot of agents there. And I got up there and I wasn't really prepared. That's the key.
Yeah.
Preparation.
Yeah.
And I started speaking and I got way off topic. I don't even know what I was saying. And anyway, Bobby was there and obviously JJ, but you know, a lot of people were there, but Bobby always likes, remember that time? And I'm like, yeah, I remember that time. It's so embarrassing. He doesn't always say it, but sometimes he'll bring it up. But anyway, say yes, but then get prepared like you did, I'm sure. And then, do it. And it turns into great opportunities and experience. And now you have more experience. So the next time you're asked to do something similar or, whatever, you have experience in life. So yes, of course, that happens to me all the time. I still I'm like, oh, I want to say no, but yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, for sure. It was a really cool opportunity. And of course, I turned to Jessica Johnson, closer at Fidelity National Title here with Shane. And she was awesome. And she's like, well, if they don't have a will, then they need to do this. If they have a trust, they need to do this. And if they don't have any of that, we can do an affidavit of heirship. I don't want to get into all of that information right now, but I will touch a little bit on it. I did learn, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like more comfortable with those terms. I'm like, oh, well, I've heard of a will, obviously.
Yeah.
But a will is something that you kind of need to know about. If you have a will, that's great. But what ends up happening is when that person deceases, all right, and passes, then it has to go through probate, which could be a long time, could be money, more money out of pocket, right? While you're grieving, you're having to deal with this, right? It's just and it's public information, I found out, right? So once that's settled, it's all public information. So like investors can start calling and maybe bugging you, going, hey, are you interested in selling your house? All these things. Another thing is if you did the living trust beforehand, that is private knowledge from my understanding. And I'm not an expert in any of this. Of course, if somebody came to me with questions, I would definitely get them in contact with Jessica or an attorney and all that. But the living trust is pretty cool because you avoid paying capital gains tax through that. So that's a pretty interesting tool that you want to be looking into instead of possibly doing the will. And if you don't have any of that that takes place, then you have the affidavit of heirship. As long as all the heirs agree to the terms that y'all agreed to and they sign off, then that can be transferred. The house can be transferred into your ownership, and then you could do whatever you want with the house, right? So it was pretty cool. I have those tools in my tool belt.
Yeah.
And definitely reach out to a realtor that If you don't know anybody, you know me now, right? So and then we can put you in touch. More than likely, a trusted realtor knows a title rep, knows a lawyer that they could put you in touch with and really get taken care of there.
Yeah.
So and it was really cool because I got up there really easy, and because I was somewhat prepared, all right. And I was like, okay, it went well. And like by the time I got to my seat, people were asking me for my card. Mm-hmm. So I was passing on my card, all these things. I made some good connections. And even a lady was like, yeah, my mom just passed a few weeks ago. My dad's thinking about selling the house. Do you do that? I'm like, well, of course I do. And, I'd love to help in any way possible. So I'll be following up with her obviously today and getting that going. So just taking advantage of opportunities, right? For sure. So it was cool. It was a cool thing.
Yeah. But like you said, the key to preparation. And, when you're talking, as to just the general public, they don't know, they have no idea. So you're already the expert. And like I always say, I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff. You don't have to write it down. You don't have to memorize it. You don't have to do any of that. All you need to know is my phone number. I'm here to help you. And so once they have your phone number, that's it. Now they're thinking about you every time they think about a transaction or unfortunately, a loss in their family or whatever. And they're going to call you and say hey, I don't remember what you said, but I remember you saying you could help me.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about it. But you wanted to drive something home and kind of talk about all this stuff. So wrap this up.
We should just record our lunches. I think that would be, we talk about so much at lunch, and everybody goes through, ups and downs in life and business and everything, including me, even though sometimes I try not to say that I do, but, the level of confidence that I have, I always know I can just turn it right back on. But anyway, my point is, if you're have you been thinking about doing something, whether that be business, weight loss, physical, whatever it is? If you're thinking about doing something, just do it. Take action. You can do it. Whatever it is you're thinking about, just do it. Yeah. I mean, so much of our time is spent thinking instead of acting, and we got to really reverse that. Take action. Yeah. You can always fix it later. Also what we talked about is, like what we already said, write some stuff down. If you and I had our daily goals, our weekly goals, our monthly goals, our annual goals, our 5-year plan with us at all times, we wouldn't go through the ups and downs. Hopefully. Right. But anyway, if you're listening, go out and do what you've been thinking you want to do, and just do it. Yeah,
I think the biggest hurdle is, again, going back to planning, right? Making the time and being intentional with that. And then thinking too much, like exactly what you said. But even if you don't accomplish the thing, maybe you take that first step to accomplishing the thing. All right. What is the very first step that you could do right now that can lead you to setting up your database or setting up your birthday campaign or whatever?
Yes.
Start with a name on a list and start with the next name, and then as soon as you start, man, it happens to me all the time. You start and you don't want to stop. It just starts leading to more and more and more. Then you look up and it's been 30 minutes, an hour, and you're like, dang. Yeah, I crushed it.
And you're excited, and you're like, "Who can I call and tell it I did such a good job?" You know what I mean? It's the energy, and then all of a sudden now there's energy, positive flowing, and so just get that going.
I'll probably talk about it next time we're on, but man, there were so many takeaways from last week's Build conference that I attended at JW. But there were so many amazing speakers. But man, and you've talked about this and you've been preaching about it quite a bit, and I think it's because it's on the top of my mind. I noticed it. All right, it was just the energy. The energy of everybody was great, but the people that separated themselves were like, wow. I was like, okay, energy.
I want some of that. I need that.
Yeah. So it was really cool, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So cool. I appreciate you wrapping up. I appreciate you joining me, man. Guys, that's the show. Share the show with a friend. I know you know somebody that could use this message. Share it with them. Leave us a review. Give us a rating. That really helps the show grow. And of course, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We'll be doing those Monday motivations. I'll share the stuff that he sends. I'll come up with some stuff as well. We thank you for joining us today. Now let's get out there and go produce.